thank you all for joining us. Today, we're going to run through more or less some of our typical agenda, except for we're going to have the opportunity for our DAO committee applicants to speak. And I think for us to, raise a question or two from the open forum from the town hall, and just get a chance to discuss with these individuals a little bit more over voice chat and connect. And we'll talk about moving forward with the process from where we are now, and as well as hear from other core unit operators in the DAO committee. So, without further ado, I posted the agenda in the town hall announcements above this channel. So we'll start with our DAO committee update from Yamel. And then Fede, after that, if you want to kind of guide us into the DAO committee conversation and kind of maybe talk a little bit about what's been going on in the DAO committee moderation channel. Sorry, the DAO committee channel in the Discord. And we'll go on with the updates after that point. So Yamel, I think I see you over here. I'm going to pass it off to you.
Hey, thank you, Matt. As the update of the DAO committee, I think the most important thing to mention is that 10 days ago I was hacked. I published a summary of the situation on the forum. Fortunately, the DAO assets didn't have any damage. I only have like a small amount of Ether to pay gas fees from that account, and all the treasury funds were safeguarded behind a multi-sig. So I think like the security scheme of the DAO in terms of trusting a member but still being hacked, I think that's a good check. The sad note is like I lost other assets. I didn't lose my land. That's cool. I'm okay. I have a diversified strategy, and I wasn't all my stuff, but it was a big hit. I'm sorry that I took some time to make it public. Last week I was like trying to assess the damage and understand how this happened, and I didn't want to make an announcement until like my keys in all smart contracts were rotated and my passwords changed. But I'm feel very confident that the community totally registered what happened, and they were like asking questions about like, hey, something happened here, and I think that's a totally good sign of like the community being alive and aware of everything that happens on change and maybe related to Decentraland. So sorry for taking some time to make it public, and thank you also for the message I received in private and on the forum as well. So the DAO committee were like stopped for the past 2 weeks because I was not an active signer. The security advisory board like replaced my key with another member, and now I have been stated back. The security advisory board was there just in case, but didn't took the role of the DAO committee and send grants or enact POIs and everything. So I'm catching up with our responsibilities with HP. So that's my update. If you have any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, maybe Matt, I pass the mic to you.
Yeah, thank you, Yamel. And again, extremely sorry about the situation you're dealing with, and appreciate the way the community has responded. I'll give a second for people to jump in if there's any questions. Okay. All right. If I mute you and you need to talk, just please ping me in chat. Fede, can we okay, you want to pick up and talk a little bit about the DAO committee elections, where we are right now, what's been happening, and what's going to happen now that we are gathered here with some of the committee member applicants?
Yep, sure. So, hey everyone. As you probably already know, 2 weeks ago we created a channel in the Discord to centralize these questions for DAO committee candidates / applicants in an asynchronous manner, because we knew that this was like that there wasn't like an expressing need for this. All the community wanted to have to hold an instance like this, so we move forward with it. The thing is that I personally think that this whole thing it's going pretty well, because these 2 weeks that the channel has been active have produced a lot of meaningful insights and exchange of ideas in a respectful and constructive manner. So I think with this said and looking forward, this could be a great tool for other debates, or to set up other channels for discussions like this. So with that said, and as we talked last time, I would like to give the 2 minutes or 3 minutes to each candidate, like to introduce themselves and to share some thoughts. And later on, we can make some questions. But also, if you want, you can post that questions in the channel, so we can give the candidates more time to answer it. So who wants to start? It's a question. I don't know. Toby was early today. I don't know if he wants to start. If not, anyone.
I can start.
Perfect. Go for it.
The opportunity to talk. Well, my name is Tobias. My name has been previously doxed on the proposal. I'm basically a Decentraland content creator. I do upload YouTube videos about Decentraland. I made some tutorials. Maybe you have seen some of PR or some other stuff. I also am trying to develop another project called Ambers, which is basically a wiki about Decentraland, and I'm writing a full guide on and trying to make Decentraland way easier to understand, because I dedicate my entire day to basically try to learn more stuff about Decentraland and how it works, and mostly trying to make sure that information that I get, it's easier for others to understand. So yeah, basically that's it. And I'm planning an awards for Decentraland, but that's a separate thing, so I don't think it's very related to what I could do. But yeah, that's all.
Perfect. So who else want to follow Topic? Champ, Yanko. Oh,
I'll go next.
That? Okay.
This is Scott. Hi, Fede. Hi, my name is Scott Moore. I've been doxxed since 2007. I go by Odd Job in Decentraland. I would say that probably the biggest strength that I can bring to my position, or my hopeful position as a DAO committee member, is my ability to connect and interact with people. I've also been told by my mentor that I'm quite reflective, so I often take multiple positions into account before I act. I've been in Decentraland for over a year. I've been involved in crypto since 2011. I've been an advocate of open source projects for many years, probably since the late 1990s. I was one of the founding funders of the Blender project back in, I think it was 2003. So yeah, this is it. It crosses a lot of spots in the Venn diagram of what I enjoy doing. Being here in Decentraland, I'm very committed to this community, and yeah, I appreciate you considering me for the position. Thank you.
Thanks, Ojo. Who wants to be next?
Hey, this is Janko speaking. So a little bit about me. I've been part of Decentraland since the initial land sales, and we originally used the land that we got to host a gallery for my underwater photography work. Both me and my brother have been working as professional photographers for the past 10 years or so, and it's been really cool to get to showcase that in the metaverse. And the past 3 or 4 months, I started learning JavaScript to become a developer eventually. That's my future goals. So using those skills, I'm also working on building some more in-depth experiences on the gallery that we've had displayed in Decentraland. A little bit of my crypto investing. I've been doing that since 2017, pretty much full time also. So that gives me a pretty good knowledge about crypto, decentralized economies, Ethereum, and all of that. So I feel like I'll be a good contributor based off the experience that I got through the years. And yeah, I really enjoyed the discussions we had on the Discord forums with the open questions that the community was giving us, and there were some very interesting conversations in there. And I think all of the candidates are really good picks for this position, so it's going to be interesting to see who the community decides. Thank you.
Thanks, Django. Also agree with all that you said at last. It was great what happened in the channel last days. As I said, this will remain open for a couple of more days. So if you want to post questions that need huge answers or time for answer them, that will be the best place to do it. So we have Martriai and Champ. Who wants to go next?
I can go. So hello everybody, my name is Martin Triay. I'm super dogs since ever. I mean, it's on my handle. I've been in Decentraland from the very, 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 very earliest. I actually contributed with code and community management to the project before the ICO. So this would be late 2016. So I've been around since basically forever. I'm a software developer. I work at OpenSebling, a security firm, the leader in the security space for Web3. And I think many questions that been asked on this AMA, I think they were very valuable to understand who are the people that are applying for this position. But I feel I should say many questions also, I think, missed kind of the point of what the DAO committee is. There were many leadership and community management related questions, which I believe they're important. And that's why I replied them, because it's important for you to know who we are. But those are not responsibilities, many of those for the DAO committee. And I left wondering if the people that were asking these questions had an accurate picture of what the DAO committee is. So if I may, and I don't take too much time, I'd like to express my own idea of what the DAO committee is and why I believe it's I can help there. I'll be short because I don't want to make all of this about me, but about the position itself, which is the DAO committee exists because there are some operations that the DAO cannot, in the stage that it's today, execute them automatically. But ideally, in a DAO, you won't have those positions. So it means that today, yeah, of course. So sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going. I think it's just a
Oh, it was a mistake. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, just the floor is yours.
so there's a reality in here. There's a truth, which is the DAO committee holds a lot of power. A lot of power. They can take over many things in the DAO if they behave maliciously, or if they get hacked, or in the bad scenario. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by the chat. What I'm trying to say is that there's a risk. The fact that the committee exists is somehow a liability to decentralization. And I believe the committee itself, as a force, as a group, as a task force, needs to improve this, to reduce the manual work, to reduce the responsibilities or the mistakes that can happen. This is through automation, and in the case there are some steps that cannot be fully automated, to have a reporting system like alerts to maybe alert the security advisory a board or the community itself to act if something happens. I don't believe the DAO committee has to make decisions, have to represent anybody, like voicing the community thoughts, for example. So all in all, sorry if this was too long, I believe the DAO committee needs to be reduced for the sake of decentralization and security of the whole project. Because a mistake in the DAO committee can be a huge hit or blow to the project. That's why I proposed myself, and I believe my background backs me, to work on these specific issues I'm concerned about. So that's me, and that's why I believe I'm a good candidate. I'm really happy, though, to have read the other candidates' replies to many of these questions, because I see some agreement on these ideas. So in line with the rest of the committee's comments, I'm happy with all applicants.
Thanks for that. Yeah, really interesting point that you made. So last one is Champ.
Hello everyone, it's Champ this side. I started my Decentraland journey in December last year. Over the past 14 months, I have spent basically all my time just building in Decentraland, participating in the overall ecosystem, and the DAO has been like a really big part of this. And as I've said in my application and elsewhere, I really see Decentraland as the most honest experiment for a decentralized metaverse. And I think that DAO is a really crucial pillar for this experiment. I think what we have been able to achieve so far as a early stage decentralized organization is like pretty remarkable. But I also see that we have like a great set of challenges. Like even if we see right now, you will notice that lately the VP meta has sort of changed. Like who held the VP, who was delegated VP has changed recently. The DAO committee election itself is, has taken around 2 months now, which I think is not like ideal. And I think there is a lot of questions in the community about the extent of powers of the DAO and so on. So I think having been, anxious about my project Wilderness P2E in Decentraland, the Decentraland ecosystem itself, and the DAO, I think this anxiety and just thinking about all this every day has really helped me develop a lot of understanding and learnings about the space. And I think my technical skills along with these learnings can contribute positively to help evolve the DAO going forward. And that is why I'm contesting for this role. So yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you, and open to any questions in chat, DMs, or anywhere else.
Thanks, Champ, for that. So as Matimi is saying in the chat, we'll open up to some questions. You can make it on the chat, and as I said, you can also post them on the channel if you think that it merits that. And so wanted to thank all 5 candidates for their engagement and all community members that posed really interesting questions in the channel. As I also point, the channel will remain open for a couple of days more. So you're all invited to be part of that discussions. I think you can jump with the questions in the chat. And yeah, that's all from my end too. Thanks, Matt, for the space.
Of course, yeah, and we'll take questions from the chat as well as from voice chat. So if you want to have any specific questions, please do feel free to speak up, and we'll try to create some space here. Okay, well, I see a few people typing, so I'm going to give it a few more minutes, but it seems like there's no voice questions here. All right, here we go. We have one from Sinful. What are each candidate's stance on bringing physical world? Okay, with a great question to start us off, I guess. Anyone want to step up?
I just have a clarifying question. Could you give me an example of what you mean by physical world ideologies?
When let's say government structures or democracy, communism, whatever. What are the stances for each candidate? Like, do you believe that these ideologies belong in this space, or not?
Okay. Well, since I'm already talking, I would say that this is like a grand experiment. However, there's a lot at stake. So I think any ideology that we're considering bringing in, it would be best handled on on a side project, to test things out instead of bringing it directly in. I think that what the community makes a suggestion for and what they vote on is what we need to enact and work through. But I will do my best to maintain an open mind at anything that gets presented.
Can I add something to? Is it possible? I think what Martrate said before, this thing that we are assigning some roles to the DAO committee when it probably shouldn't, because what we need is actually just, at least right now, people basically using Aragon and then creating or revoke it, creating the vesting contracts. So all these questions basically suppose that the DAO committee, at least for a part of the community, should have also some type of accountability that exceeds the main responsibilities of the job. And I agree with what he says, because if you read the questions, all of the questions are like about leadership, about things that are not necessarily related to the job. But maybe it's because the community thinks, and it's something valid, okay? I'm not saying that it's not, but maybe the community thinks that if someone is part of the DAO committee, and even if their job it's only creating the vesting contracts and everything, they should also have some type of accountability on the political side, because they feel that that's important. That's one thing. And the second thing I just want to put in discussion is what he said, that we need fewer candidates. So I do agree that going fully automated, it's the best way. Like, I don't think we should have less humans on the DAO and everything be automated with smart contracts. But what it has been presented before is that if we have more people on the DAO committee, if someone goes and puts a shady thing on Aragon, if people on 24 hours can sell that, they can basically grab the money and send it to another place. So having more keys to basically being able to cancel those requests, to me, it's just like a better idea, at least now, since we are not fully automated. And this comes along with the thing that Esteban said on the DAO proposal.
Can I add my my perspective on this. The very first thing I think it has to be said and was already said, but I want to support it is these are not the kind of questions we should be evaluating the committee for. That being said, I take all of these questions as trying to understand who are the people that are in this that are the candidates, and people and the community have the opportunity to at least evaluate the integrity of these people, to know who they are. But again, it's not important for the role itself, but just for the community to get to know the people. Also, I don't think less humans means more automation. I think we need to require less human time or human work from each human, but we can have a super big multi-sig of, 15 people, but require less manual steps from each of them. That being so, in that line, I'd like to reply. Who question was it? You're talking a lot, guys, in the chat, so I missed it. But it was about what security measures you will be taking to ensure we protect ourselves against cybersecurity risk, and to what degree will you be relying those taking precautions back to the committee? And that's my specific angle. So what I want to do is to map out all, and I said this before, but I'm saying it again in case somebody didn't read the replies on the AMA. But so what I want to do is to evaluate what are the current state of operations, document them, make sure all committee members are doing the same or following the same practices, then evaluate that very steps, try to find like issues, risks, or things that are insecure, propose a new process for each kind of operation, say deploying a vesting contract or enacting a proposal or approving a grant, right? Each of these operations need to be properly documented for the committee to follow a guide, and they don't have to make mistakes. Maybe they were sleepy, they have a bug on their stomach, and they're just not on their brightest day, but they can follow a guidelines to make sure a checklist. I have to do this, then this. For example, before signing a transaction, I have to simulate it. I have to see what are the changes on the chain after I approve this transaction and whatnot. With that map out processes, I want two things. First, transparency for the community to know what's happening and how it happens, and when it happens, they have to know. Because accountability is super important, and for accountability, we need transparency. And with these laid out processes, we can also improve the security of them. So that's the gist of the idea. I won't be in too many details because I don't want to take much time from you guys, and also I don't want to say give too many examples that may not apply. And before this, I think we need more clarity on the current operations and how they look. I just said the simulation example, but I would have to see the exact steps for each kind of thing. On top of that, so we can automate without removing humans. For example, today I know that the vestings require deployment for those vestings, filling a spreadsheet with the details of the vesting. But for example, if we create we give out a grant of 100 mana, and by mistake we press wrongly on the spreadsheet and we write 101 mana, then we will have a problem there, right? That's manual work today, and the automation should be, we should have a system. There are many ways of doing this. We could use a centralized service. We could use a decentralized service for executing code that will deploy the vesting, pick the vesting amount, write that into the spreadsheet, and anybody can see the spreadsheet, and anybody can raise an alarm if there was a mismatch between what was deployed and what was written into the spreadsheet. And we could also have alerts looking for these mismatches if they were. So we can act fast, we can have transparency, and therefore security.
Hey, so this
hello
is
everyone.
Sorry, go
please,
ahead.
Django, go ahead.
All right, thanks. So regarding Simple's question about bringing physical world ideologies into the decentralized world, my take on this is I think a lot of the government ideologies that we find in real world scenarios have really divided people. And I think that we have a lot better chance with this DAO decentralized system to build something better that actually unites and is open to everyone to use. So I'm hoping for a better system here than what we see in real life governments. And then regarding Shawnee's question about security, so I've been using Ethereum wallets since 2017, and thankfully I have not been hacked yet. I've tried to, like, it can happen to anybody. Obviously, like we've seen like some people that are experts in the space too, it can still happen to them. And it's very unfortunate that it's such a high risk in crypto. Regarding indisposition, I would be using a separate laptop that I have available just for this and only access things that are DAO related. So hopefully with that could be an extra precaution against getting on a contract or accessing a website that could expose those keys.
Thanks, Janko, and I think thanks everyone for the questions. I would also like to take a shot at Sin's questions there. And to be honest, like I don't really like that we are totally dismissing that question. Like I have also said in the past that what applies to real life doesn't necessarily apply to the DAO, but I think it's more nuanced than that. I think my stand here is that like in real life, we think that one human body is like one vote. That is not true for the DAO, of course. Here, like one VP is one vote. But I think there is definitely a lot in the real life that we can bring to the DAO, and we probably should be open to it. That can involve like the kind of governance structures, the kind of accountability measures, kind of security measures, and a lot of such things. So I think it's not fair to be totally dismissive of that. But I think I get the point where everyone else was coming from as well. And coming to Sean's question about like the security measures, I think Matt Tria made a great point that completely operationalizing the procedure, like having a fixed set of rules where not every none of the committee members have to think about, okay, what does this mean? Does this do I do this today or do this today? A lot of automation can help there as well. But again, I think one point where I actually kind of disagree from other people, and where I might seem like a hypocrite as well, because I have kind of said it in the past, is like while I think that the DAO committee should be 100% automated, like a ideal DAO committee, I don't really think that will ever happen, because to be honest, if we wanted a 100% automated DAO, we could have it right now. The reason we don't have it is so that we can do something more with the DAO by involving humans, right? So I think we will always keep pushing for that. So definitely a lot of things will be automated, but we will always have humans in the loop, and how these humans are working is I think a really great point to think about, and that is where the security protocols, the operations manual, and even probably standardizing or thinking about the best possible security measures for private keys as well is like a great step forward.
I'd like to just hitchhike off of what you were saying, Champ. There's been a lot of discussion about automation and technology, and I'd like to address the human element. And this is actually one of my answers in the thread in the DCL DAO channel for the committee position, and that is rituals and routines. Just going through and not necessarily war games, but going through potential scenarios, going through and enacting the processes, practicing them, also preparing for a worst case scenario. Obviously, this would be done aside from the normal structures. We wouldn't ever test or have this practice on the main system. It would be on some sort of side system, and you may think that this is a lot of extra work. But I posed a question. I forget to to somebody in the channel, and that is, are we ready for 100,000 new users, not just from the platform side and the technical side, but from the DAO side? If we get all of these new people coming in and they're brand new to the DAO, it doesn't matter what type of technological controls or security measures we have. Those are important. But it's also important that we interface person to person with these new people, because we want to have that involvement. We need to discuss with them about the rituals and the routines, and we're creating this culture as we go. So it's essential. Like Champ said, we're always going to have people in the mix, because it's people that populate Decentraland. We're not creating this so that a bunch of AI bots can run around and have fun in Decentraland. We're making this for people. So I agree with you, Champ. There's always going to be a human element, and for that reason, I think it's important that we also shore up the human side of things, because humans, you can have technology to act fast, to provide transparency, to create security, but there's also going to we're also going to need to bring in the strengths that humans have, which is improvisation, intuition, and original thought. There's going to be situations that we're not going to be able to anticipate that are going to break the smart contract. I think about smart cars that are driving and they gave in all the variables, and then one of the driverless cars ran over a person, and that's because that person tried to cross the street not at the corner, but in the middle of the street, and it didn't know what to do to make of that situation. Whereas a human in that situation can obviously see and adapt. It's that adaptability that is essential, and that's why we need to have those rituals and routines so that we can adapt to novel situations.
May I offer a counterpoint to that? I think you mentioned two things. On one side, more people coming in and the DAO growing and receiving and supporting that growth. And on the other side, limits to automation and how we can do things. So it may be right. There may be some scenarios which are not properly automatized, and that may impose a risk. In the example you mentioned of someone crossing the street mid-street. But I'm much more concerned about a human not being able to understand 1,000 transactions happening in the same block, right? We would need something that thinks way faster than a computer. And regarding improvisation, I really prefer not to improvise. For sure, there might be scenarios in which we need to make decisions fast. I wouldn't call that improvisation. As part of the security proposal I'm bringing here, it's to also have an emergency response guideline. So we have to think how to react to things before they happen. Of course, some of them might be unknown and might caught us by surprise, but we could have them reduce how much we have to decide in a rush. If we have clear guidelines, maybe we only have to think fast on a single aspect of the situation we want to deal with. And regarding the growth of the community, I think that's not related to the committee. That's related to the DAO itself as a governing body and as a community. I don't think the DAO committee has to become leaders or stewards on welcome people to the DAO. I think those things are very important, but that should be for a community manager, a community leader, even the facilitator, I would say, before the committee. I think the committee should be trusted with the operations of enacting and executing the DAO operations without stepping into those other very important but unrelated areas.
So do you think that the DAO committee members should not interact with the community at large in general? I mean, they're going to, so I think that's an important component. Okay, so that's... But
as community members, not as, hello, I'm the DAO committee and hear me out because I'm the DAO committee. No, I'm just a member like you. I hold this position. We have to be part of the community, and that's why I replied all the questions regarding what's my vision, how would I handle or face inclusion in the community. It's important for the community to understand who we are as persons and evaluate our integrity, but not those answers should not be reflected in the operations we carry out. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Hey, Troy, can I ask you a question?
Of course, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So in the current setup that we have now, do you know how it works currently? How you look into that, the Argonosis thing?
I have an idea of most of the operations. I don't know many of the specifics.
So
yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned before that for you it's a better idea to have fewer candidates, right?
No.
You didn't say that? Oh, okay.
No. I said that I said kind of the opposite. Not because I think there should be more or less people. I just replied that we don't. Someone said, maybe you, that we need less humans in this. Maybe it wasn't you. Sorry, I don't want to put my words in your mouth. But someone said that, and I said no. The problem is not the amount of humans, but the amount of human work needed in each operation, which is not the same. It could be 1,000 humans with minimal work in each of them. So we have reduced the mistakes that can happen from 1,000 people instead of increasing how many mistakes 10 people can make.
Oh, okay. But I think maybe when people are talking about automation, they probably talk it like in some type of dystopian future. I don't think especially when people say, I wish no errors could be made by humans and everything should be automated. I don't think they are talking about the present. I think they are talking more about that futuristic idea they have of what the DAO could be, not that it currently applies.
So I'm not sure if I got your point, but just to exemplify, a DAO is already an automation, right? We could be all of us in the same room talking and discussing and coming up with solutions to things and then carry them out manually. But we're using a blockchain to have software speed into this kind of decisions. I think in human history, we've been able to deal with velocity faster than what humans can think. And we find ways like warp rails to how to carry out those operations and things safely. We encounter new issues, like now in the verge of artificial intelligence, we are seeing that we have new issues. Maybe we have this new risk we didn't have before, and now we have to deal with it. But then we come up with new technological solutions for those. And that's how we end up having a DAO in the first place. It's a huge automation. So yes, more automation means new risks and less risks on other sides. But overall, I think I favor automation when it's possible and safe. And when it's not, or even when we think it's safe, to know what can go wrong and think about that ahead of time. Document what's the process to deal with. For example, 2 committee members got their keys compromised. What do we do then? Should we decide when that happens, or should we have guidelines before so we know how to act fast? I vote for the second.
I think something cool I've been thinking is that, especially that maybe we could have some type of implementation of some type of red button. So when something like really shitty happens, sorry for the word, someone can just call a script that basically, start sending messages to all the candidates through different channels. It could be like even WhatsApp or SMS to make sure people get as aware as possible. I think that could be a nice implementation.
Yes.
It could be even developed so easily using some stuff like Zapier, for example, and then you get all these services that basically send SMS and they start spamming everyone get ready, it's time to cancel.
Well, we do have something which is the Security Advisory Board. And part of my proposal is in the automation, it's the transparency part, in which we have, as I said before, we have this spreadsheet in which we are recording all the grants that are being paid out. If today we fill that manually, but if there's a mismatch between the actual grant and what's on the spreadsheet, we could have a script on this very same spreadsheet, triggering an alert on a channel here on Discord and also sending an email to the Security Advisory Board. So that's the part. So this is not reducing the human work. It could though, but it's to also automate these kind of processes, the monitoring itself.
Yeah, I think it will also, we need to look if the security advisor team wants to take that job, because right now, like, the main job is basically doing everything related to smart contracts in regards to, land. So it will need we will probably need to add more tasks to them, don't you think?
I don't like to jump the gun and propose specifics yet. The first task, as explaining the KPIs questions of the AMA, the first thing I want to do is to map out all processes and document them, and then see what's the most risky thing and act on it, prioritize properly.
But since the situation is that we need to add more people, right? Because at least that's what I think is going to happen, right? And there is another proposal that has passed to add, I think, 2 more people. If I'm sure someone corrects me if I'm wrong. What would you recommend to do, in your opinion, to stop that process and rediscuss, to make sure we start from another point, or to keep with the process and work on that at the same time?
I agree with what was discussed in the proposal itself, that is to carry on this process, and then if I think the poll was passed. I don't think there was a final vote on it yet, but we can add 1 and then the other 1 or the other 2 later. I think it was 3 in total, because right now, so the proposal was to upgrade the multisig from 2 of 3 to 3 of 5. We currently have JML and HP. So I think it's 3 more people. I don't see a reason to stop this vote that's already ongoing and then add the other 2 later. I don't see a point in stopping now and have a 3 candidates proposal later.
So you think that first we get 1 more candidate, we do what you have said of documenting all the processes, and then we go back to the other candidates to bring them to the DAO committee? Am I getting you?
I don't think mapping out the processes is a blocker to proceeding with the thing. One more important thing, and to express my philosophy on how to approach this role, is I won't assume there's already a 3 of 5 multisig. That's not voted yet. We have to abide to whatever has been voted. And so far, we have a 2 of 3 multisig, and we have to continue assuming that's what's going to happen. But we foresee the very high chance of that second proposal to pass and then upgrade the multisig to 3 of 5. So we can start thinking about it, but we shouldn't assume it's going to happen. It may be rejected. We don't know yet. But that being said, I don't think mapping out the processes is related to the amount of people we have, because having a 3 of 5 or 2 of 3 or a 7 of 10 multisig, it's not going to change drastically the processes we have, because we in all of those setups we will be looking for kind of the same solutions. We don't want we want to minimize the possibilities of something bad happening, and something bad could be either a malicious transaction going through, or malicious, or just a mistaken one. Maybe the committee fails to craft the transaction and they send the wrong one. And we also don't want for committee members to be blocked because for the whole committee to be blocked because enough members lost their keys. Say if we have a 2 of 3 today, and 2 committee members got their keys compromised, or just they got blocked out of them. They're not compromised. They just don't have access to them. Then the committee is stalled. We want to minimize those scenarios.
I mean, you have still a security board if something like that happens.
Yes. But ideally, we won't bother them unless it's super, super necessary.
I agree.
But yes, that would be a solution as of now. But it's there's a window of time between the advisory board's act and maybe 4 hours. It's too late.
Just drawing our attention here to the time. I just want to let the DAO committee member applicant. No, this is wonderful. I'm just drawing attention and just say maybe we want to draw towards some final thoughts that you all might have. So, and we can kind of draw down this section towards the end of the town hall. Just putting that out there and letting you keep going.
Okay, so with that, I just wanted to ask another question to all the applicants here. So my question was like, what do you think has not been going perfect or right in like from the point of view of DAO committee so far, and like how do you think can we improve it? And I love to take the question up as well, probably last if you want.
Let me just also suggest that we frame this into your closing thought as well, since we're running low on time, if that's all right.
Okay.
Sure thing.
Yeah. So taking what you just posed, Champ, I think part of it is just a sign of growth. There's no, you don't get closed clean unless you agitate the water. So there needs to be some agitation. There certainly has been, but I think we're taking the right steps. You know, we're presenting ideas and determining what are the best procedures, and we're making that decision together. And to that point, you know, the thing that's important for me to point out is the second word in the DAO acronym, which is autonomous. And autonomy is the right or conditions of self-government, and we don't have that currently. Because of the VP inequity, and I think that is something. I know it's not the job of the committee member position, but it is something that I am actively concerned with and working on. So I'm educating myself thoroughly about that. I think it's important to have that represented here. If we're going to be able to have the right conditions for self-government, we need to have as many voices represented as possible, and that is currently not the case. We have some people with outsized voices and can exert outsized influence. So I'm looking at the possibility of soul-bound tokens and whatever. I won't get into that, but there are methods and technologies that are on the horizon that will help us address that, and that is something that I'm actively pursuing. And thank you, everybody, for this opportunity to speak to all of you.
Yeah, I just want to finish with, I think one of the things that can sorry, that stopped working.
We got you now, I think.
Okay, do you hear me right?
Yep.
Yeah, well, so it's just to end my everything. Well, thanks everyone for the opportunity. I think going back to the question that Champ made, I think that one of the things that didn't go very well is the fact that people were using, well, not people, but maybe there is not a very clear protocol in terms of how to use the wallets of the DAO. I do think that people should be using separate PCs to send transactions and to interact. I think that's a basic. I mean, that's one thing I would probably take as a security measure. Maybe, I don't know, get like Intel HDMI sticks. So each time I need to use a wallet, especially when it comes related to the DAO, use a PC that has nothing to do, and of course, like store all the keys, not in the cloud. And something that, again, I think it may be a problem is like, since we're going to start adding people and we are fully doxed, we should probably consider what's going on with our personal security. Because, I mean, if we are in charge of all this mana, or at least all this power where we could basically interact with these vesting contracts, my question is like, what we will need to think some stuff related to our own personal security, because we probably will be targeted and especially if we keep growing and they have more chances of finding someone and trying to do something bad to them, we should probably take care of our own security as a group. So I think that should be a thing to be discussed, apart from the PCs and storing the keys offline. That's all. Thanks for the opportunity.
May I go next?
Yes.
So, replying the original question, which was something that went wrong or could be done better, I think Eric's resignation was definitely a sign that it wasn't fully working for him. And I think, and now having seen the questions and the discussions that have been happening around this position, I don't really know what happened fully, but I get the impression that there could be a big misunderstanding of what this role is and what people should expect from the people in this position. So I think that something that could be done better is for the community to have a better and clear understanding what should a DAO committee do and what's not part of their responsibilities. My plan to improve this kind of thing and to prevent any kind of issues, well, not any, but most issues down the road is to let this configuration or setup super clear for the whole community, properly documented, and full transparency on DAO committee operations. That way, at least we can get rid of misunderstandings, either because they don't understand a given operation that was carried out, or maybe they don't understand the role of the DAO committee. And the final comment on what Tommy just said about personnel security, I think the best thing we can do for our personnel security is making this clear and setting things up in a way in which kidnapping any DAO committee member could not do anything, thus make it worthless to kidnap anyone to say something. If we make a setup that is proof safe to either one or a few of us getting compromised, hacked, kidnapped, whatever, then there's no incentive in doing so. Regarding the separate computer, I'm not that sure I can see how can marginally help, but as long as you end up using that computer in the internet, it's almost the same. I think the security aspects should go on other lines, on the processes themselves, on the signing, and I think a hardware wallet is like the separate computer you're talking about. So yeah, I could go over more specifics on security, but I don't think this is a space. Thank you very much for the time and listening to us. And sorry if I took over the mic.
Just for a closing thought, I just want to say thanks for the Facilitator Squad for hosting this discussion. It's been great to hear everyone's voice and actually get to speak to each other. And going forward, we still have the channel open in the themed channel under the DAO committee election. So I'm open to continuing answering all the community's questions, just to not take up more time over here. Thank you all.
So thank you, everyone, first of all, for answering my questions and those closing remarks as well. So let me just answer my own question as well. I to be honest, I was kind of really disappointed with our whole DAO community as a whole recently, and not because a DAO committee member was hacked, but the way we responded after it, I think it needs to be much better. I don't think everyone realized the gravity of the situation there. A DAO committee member getting hacked did not possess a damage in this case, but it is a very big threat to our whole ecosystem. And I think the DAO committee as well as the whole community can be educated more about dealing with such situations, or just thinking about ways of how we can react. So that was for that. And for closing remarks as well, I think everyone agrees here that this was a very great discussion tonight. I really loved having this discussion on the thread as well as on this call. So yes, thank you everyone for your time, and have a good day.
Thank you, Champ, and everyone for these wonderful conversations. It's so great to hear all of your, informed and varied opinions on this. And, I think we'll all agree that sounds like no matter who is in this role, we'll have a good and stand-up representative who cares about the ecosystem. So it's really, really been informative. We're drawing to the end of the town hall period. So the DAO operating core units are going to push their updates to next town hall in 2 weeks. Anyone has any questions, please feel free to send us messages in the general chat or the specific grant channels that we have. I do believe we still have an in-world meetup to bring together our embodied selves after this engaging conversation. And Fractilian, is that correct?
Yeah. I believe I'm waiting for Mr. Dingo, who's going to show us around. And I'll paste here the link for everybody to hop on in-world and start gathering there if you're able to stay.
Perfect. So once again, thank you to all of our DAO committee member applicants and everyone from the community for joining us today. It's been engaging and enlightening. So hope everyone has a fun time in world and look forward to our next meeting in 2 weeks. And we'll follow up with updates on the next steps in this process and in the DAO committee channel, as well as directing people there from the general channel. So thank you all again. Have a wonderful day.